Welcome to this week's episode of the Creatives Podcast Los Angeles. We talk to Navaja Press from Phoenix, Arizona. So, thank you for being on the podcast. Could you tell us a little bit
Thank you
about...
for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Could you talk a little bit about what inspired you to start Navaja Press?
So Navaja Press was born out of me, Meli Nava's kind of like practice, like already as a printmaker and like a kind of like going out of school. I graduated from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago this May. I was like, okay, I need to find a outlet, for my practice and thinking about building community with my practice. And I think like what we thought was like, oh, a press is the best way to do that. Self-publishing is like, I think the best way to really kind of like form a community around your work and to kind of like have a level of accessibility and have a level of like interaction with like the audience, which I really important to us, I think, given like the nature of our work.
Interesting. Taylor, could you talk a little bit about your how you met Melly?
Yes, so we've actually been friends since high school.
Oh wow,
Like
so
for
it's been a
a long
while.
time.
Yeah.
And we were both, and like that was really kind of where we both started. Like we both got interested. I don't know about Melly, so pretty much that's where our interest started, was in high school and in art, and that's kind of like how it evolved. When she had first came about me to the press, I really was interested in it because I haven't really like stepped outside of just like creating art on myself. Like I haven't brought it to a community-based level, and I really wanted to see, especially because she's so established like and understanding what print is and understanding publishing and like how it can be super effective in those ways. I was like, you know what, this is an opportunity to help out and understand it myself.
Wow, so you've been friends since high school. So what
Yeah.
inspired you? Like, was it in an art class that, or was it when you were growing up? This
I
is a
think
question for both
what
of you.
really
Yeah.
yeah, I think what really sparked me in terms of like the press, in terms of like wanting to produce besides just kind of my own like practice and interest, was like, I think book fairs. I think book fairs and bookstores really kind of just like jumped that like spark in me. Going to like the Chicago Art Book Fair, seeing all of these like different presses, these different people, and seeing all of these like wonderful works that they've produced, zines. Honestly, just like going to a zine shop and being like, wow, like these are really tangible items that people are like putting forth. Now I have it. Now I'm a part of this narrative. Now I'm a part of this community, of this audience. And I think that I've always loved books. I've always loved things that I can grab and read. So I think having that exposure to like these bigger fairs, these bigger like shops, I was like, wow, I want to be a part of this. And I've formed friendships with like people that like all around the country just based on these like self-publishing fairs, or just even like buying a zine, looking up the artist, getting involved with their work. And I think it's a really beautiful process of community building and networking that I think is a little bit more authentic than anything else in the art world. I think that it's really authentic and really kind of like on a communal level, which I think I enjoy the most. And I think in terms of like, I guess like being younger, I think, yeah, I mean, being in the DIY scene, liking, like hardcore music, punk music, a big thing is like zines and posters and accessibility, and like wanting to reach a lot of like, I guess I don't want to say like-minded people, but like kind of like having that similar interest and passion. And I think like just kind of growing up with that mentality too.
Yeah. Oh. I kind of like to it's a way for me, like she definitely knows a little bit more about it, but it's to see that you can, as an artist, there's versatile ways that you can produce your own work, and this is a way that is accessible. And I think that's really one of my biggest things of being in the print, like seeing this whole print media and the community that's set in it, is accessibility and kind of challenging yourself to create work so that everyone else can be involved in it as well.
Oh, great. Yeah. So you got both of you come from that punk scene then, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying it's embarrassing, but yeah, no, definitely grew up going to like, I mean, in high school, it's like a very big thing to go to like basement shows,
in
local
in
venue
Phoenix?
shows. Yes,
Really?
actually, yes. Shout out to the Nile Underground and 51 West. 51 West is no longer a thing anymore, but the Nile Underground is still a thing. Yeah, no, to many people's surprise, the Arizona hardcore scene is actually like pretty strong and pretty established. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've I've been in the punk scene since like forever, but I know
Yeah.
Phoenix has like Jody's Foster Army and other punk bands since like the
Yeah.
'80s. But I'm surprised that you guys had like a basement scene.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not super like out there. I think like in other DIY spaces like Philly or like LA, like the smell, it's not like that like established, but it's here and it's very ours. I feel like it's very ours. But yeah, no, I mean, like I think having that exposure to that scene and like, I mean, as more rhetoric is like having that community and wanting to protect it and also wanting it to be like, this is us and this is who we are and this is a part of our image, and like sharing that. Merch is a very big thing. I bought so many t-shirts at so many shows. I don't even want to like guess how much I've spent on that. But yeah.
Well, that's cool. So, Taylor, did you grow up in the punk scene too, in the DIY scene?
A little bit, not as much. I definitely do like it, but I wasn't like that kid. It just was like, I was like, I'm a shy person, so I was like, no. But it's still like something I identify with. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, yeah, because coming from growing up in Southern California, being out here in Phoenix, I feel like I was talking to this other person from Tucson that I feel that Phoenix has such a more defined and communal experience when it comes to music, because I feel like Phoenix has more music venues than LA, because like the smell is like, oh yeah, but that's, I mean, it's kind of like kids come and go, but I feel like over here you guys have like a blues club on, was it Indian School Road? There's like
Wait, what's on in
a blues club.
Oh, the rhythm room.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
rhythm
yeah,
room.
yeah, yeah.
So it's hard to see that in LA, and then you guys have the bigger venues. The, what's it called in downtown Phoenix?
Marquee.
The Marquee,
Marquee.
the Marquee, and then the, what's the other one?
Crescent Ballroom
The
that you're
Crescent
in.
Ballroom. That's another
Crescent
one.
Ballroom. Yep, we're at Crescent.
And then
We go.
they're like smaller venues, coffee shops, stuff like that, where they host shows. I don't see that much in Southern California.
I think though, like I think translating that not just for Phoenix culture, but I think translating that towards like even just like our press and like how we operate. I think like, as I've said before, everyone in Phoenix wants to emulate LA. We really, really do. But that will never happen, and that will never happen. But I think that gives us a level of like humility and like authenticity. I think like we're just trying our best, and I think that, I mean, I think being from Phoenix, it's like, you know what? Yeah, we're not the biggest city in the Southwest. We're really hot. It's hard to live here, but there is always, I think, this like really authentic, like, yeah, but I'm from here, and I love 100-degree weather sometimes, and I love feeling the sun on me, and I love like knowing that my music scene is very like in about itself. So that's what I think about, and we're authentic, and I think that translates into like the work we make, into like who we are as a press and how we want to operate. Yeah, it's like we're humble, we're authentic. Well, saying you're humble and then being like, yeah, I'm humble, I'm not trying to be like that person, but
Yeah, of course.
I definitely do want to like emulate that. I think like where we come from is very like, this is who we are, it is what it is, and we're gonna tell you about it.
Yeah. I feel like there's like kind of like there's people that view Phoenix in a different way, and I think that this is going to help us out to show people like there is a community here. There's different people from those narratives that you usually hear about Phoenix.
That is very true. I think in the last 5 years, there's been a huge influx of people from Southern California coming in, and I think like them trying to kind of like define Phoenix or figure out what Phoenix is. And for us for having to like seeing that influx of people and kind of like seeing their perspective and in like view of Phoenix and like kind of like we were raised here, born here, and kind of like what it is to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It feels like it's more of there's like a sense of pride for your craft because I cannot see like back in Southern California, I was talking to this other person from Tucson who's a um, has a production company, and people out there in LA are like, oh, I'll take a class like a stand up class. Where's my Saturday Night Live audition? I created a mixtape. I don't
Yeah.
I'm the next big rapper.
Yeah, there's a fair share of that. In terms of, so are you kind of saying like,
And I see that less out here. I see people out here being more genuine and like, this is what I do. This is my craft. And when I do get the call, uh, I'm ready.
yeah, yeah, I think that is a thing out here for sure. I think since there we don't have those outlets like LA in terms of like the big stardom and
Mm-hmm.
like we don't have a LACMA, we don't have like Hollywood, you know. So I feel like that really gives like artists and like creatives like I guess like more room to like experiment and more room I think to kind of like try things out that may not necessarily like be your like big breakout to be your big thing, but kind of like yeah, no, just more, I think it allows for more creative room. And I think when you have more creative room and you have more room to like be your authentic self and not feel pressured to like have that I need this to be my big show, I need this to be my big breakout, you can get to that big breakout. You can get to like your piece of resistance or whatever a little bit more genuinely because you have that room and time to really grow into who you want to be and to grow into like what you want to make.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I could see it like definitely too. I think is like the places that are bigger that have that scene. I feel like there's this like kind of push to be what's happening there, but I feel like people kind of forget like the process as an artist. Sometimes you're not always gonna like you kind of have to work
Yeah.
through other things and figure things out too. That's not always about producing, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
I kind of see it as an artist. It's not always about what you make, but kind of like your intentions too are
Mm-hmm.
true behind your artwork.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your artwork. I mean, I found out about your work through LA Zine Fest, which was gonna happen a couple of months ago, but thank you, to COVID,
Yeah.
everything got canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Corona canceled us. Yeah,
Yeah, that was disheartening for sure. I
yeah.
think because we were really excited because that was our big debut. I think like as a press that we were like planning it for months. We had a timeline like, oh, this is gonna be our introduction to like the print world or
Mhm.
self publishing world. We were really excited. But you know, again, as we know what's happened. But I think that's really like shifted us into a mindset of like, okay, we're a press, we're producing, but how do we kind of like we have to like think of community in a different way or like reaching out to community a different way. But I think, but that doesn't change the work. That doesn't change who we are. That doesn't change our message and our statement. So our centralized around like narrative and storytelling just because as you know Mexican American like individuals a lot of our culture is based on like oral history,
Yes.
and I think that yeah I think that that's really where the fascination begins is hearing stories, you know, that your tío or your mother or your father tells you about your family because that's really all you have. I mean we don't have a documented existence really. I mean Mexico's really terrible at keeping documents and like you know
Oh yeah.
official and stuff like that. So I think like that process of like storytelling through like one's family and like orally or over generations was really like what inspires us. So right now I think like our most interested I guess like release has been Las Botas de Mi Padre, which is it's a book by me. It's like kind of like a short creative essay
Mhm.
about my father's labor, immigration to this country, while also kind of like tapping into like his father and his grandfather and thinking about like the journey that one undergoes in this country, given to immigration, given to labor. And I think that kind of like really ties into the overall message is like, this is who I am, and this is all the history that made me who I am. And now that I have this, I want to share it to kind of like tell the world, tell whoever's gonna listen wants to listen.
Definitely, yeah. It's a pretty interesting book that I saw through the computer and stuff like that. I thought it really caught my eye because it was like you talked about like how many miles is from, was it Chihuahua or to Phoenix?
So yeah, so it's La Puente, and La Puente is actually my paternal side's rancho in Zacatecas,
Oh,
which is
Zacatecas, yeah.
yeah, which is central Mexico, well, northern central, and yeah, so that's like, to my, even my father's extensive knowledge, that's the farthest our history goes, to like Zacatecas and that rancho.
Yeah.
So that's the earliest point of reference I have for like my familial history. And obviously now we're in Phoenix, Arizona. And it was, yeah, it was just kind of like thinking about like what led us from there to here and everything in between.
Yeah, so what kind of I think every person has a Mexican American or Latino American has a unique story of what brought their families into the United States. What brought your dad or your mom into the States?
So my father's family, it was labor. It really
Yeah.
was work. Um, but I think it can be most specifically traced back to the Bracero program
Oh, okay.
that started in the 1940s, when the American men were off fighting World War II. And they needed labor, and so they went to Mexico and they sought, Mexican men. So my grandfather, my father's father, his grandfather and his brothers were kind of like introduced to the U.S. in that way, where they'd come and work in labor, but they would go back to the rancho
Yeah.
in Zacatecas. But then my grandfather, he decided like, after working, I guess, more like agricultural jobs in Mexico, he was like, no, I think there's more opportunity in terms of like more money or like ways to survive it in the United States. So that's what drove them here. But they would, but again, like there's still Zacatecas and also Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, which they also like had some years there working, stuff like that. And that's really that, just following work, following labor, following like
Mm-hmm.
where salir. That's I feel like I can't uh, translate that in English in a proper way. Like
Could you repeat that again?
achieve, sobresalir, like to
Oh,
like get ahead. I guess I don't know.
overcome.
Overcome. There we go. That's a really good word for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and with my mother's family, that they immigrated a little later, but I mean, classic story. Since my dad's family was also in contact with Juarez, still had a house in Juarez. My father met my mom, classic love story, and my mom moved here to the United States, and I was born.
Yeah. Taylor, what's your family story?
It's pretty complicated. My family has been it's
Mine
it's
too.
really, it
Yes,
is like so
yes.
complicated.
Oh, mine
It's
too.
so
Trust me, girl. Mine is like it's like a novela.
it's really complicated because my dad kind of has a complicated relationship with his father, so he kind of knows more about his mom's side. But because my family has been here in America for many generations, I've really seen my identity as a Mexican American woman be really, it's like really fragmented in my opinion. Like it's just like we kind of really like lost like kind of like our identity. I feel like I look back to my dad's documents, photos of his parents, and they're in Spanish, and like I don't know Spanish. My whole family doesn't.
Okay.
So, and then for my Nana was born on a ranch, and her mom was adopted by like a Mexican American family. So she grew up
Interesting.
in that way. Yeah, and her dad wasn't really in the picture. He also was a ranch worker. I don't know what happened to him. So like, so it's just, and then my mom's dad was like from Southern California. She would always talk about I had these little cups that he would get from Ensenada. So it's just like it's kind of like just kind of reclaiming certain things, but not too much because like I don't really want to step and be on boundaries. But it's just that's just how it's like but I still feel really connected to be
Oh,
in this culture.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that too, like, I guess that reclaiming, it comes with like learning and hearing stories. And I mean, I think us as two best friends, we obviously we have a lot of conversations, but I think like when we do talk about like identity and experiences of growing up, I think like I learn a lot from her in terms
Yes.
of like family has been here for generations. Um, and like she learns a lot, I think, from me in terms of kind of like my firsthand account, of like going to Mexico a lot of times of the year, being there a lot. I mean, I know Spanish. So I think it's a really good exchange, and like again, it all comes down to conversations,
Yes.
and learning.
Goes back to stories.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Wow. So yeah, a lot of the stories go back to your family, walking, right? The boots, the
Yes.
miles between, but I always feel like Phoenix has more connection to Mexico than Southern California.
I would love to have that conversation. Yeah. No. I think we do. I think we do. I want to say we do. I think it's again. I think this comes down to like what I want to say, like the genuineness. And we're not in LA, so I don't think we have that pressure to like have this like ultra star image. And again, no, shout outs to LA. I respect y'all. I don't want to step on any toes. I really, really don't. But I think there's that image of what Mexican American means in LA. And I think there's a very specific image and a very specific narrative that comes along with it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think like our narrative is very different in terms of like what is Mexican American. Because I think LA, and not necessarily like the Mexican Americans in LA perpetuating that, but I think like the nation as a whole has like a monolith of one story of what the Mexican American in LA is like.
Yeah.
And I think like with here is like Mexican American anything. We're everywhere. We're like we're all over the city. We're not in a specific neighborhood. We're not in a specific area. We are everywhere, and you can probably. I mean, I'm not counting Paradise Valley or Scottsdale or anything, but in Phoenix, 2 blocks you could walk anywhere. 2 blocks you could get a good burrito, good tacos. I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah. I feel like Phoenix burritos, Arizona in general, are better than LA.
We agree. We agree. We agree.
It's a Sonora tortilla. That's what it is.
Yeah, Sonoran hot dogs.
Yes.
Yeah, I think like also we love that the price is cheaper.
Yeah.
We enjoy that very much.
Same here.
Shout outs Taco Meach on 16th Street, McDowell. 85-cent tacos on Wednesdays.
Today's Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday. But yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that about, the Mexican American identity. Taylor, do you have anything to add to that?
I just like, for me, it's definitely been like a huge learning process, especially because like it just really has been. And I think that's what we have to open ourselves up to, especially me, because I really am like a white Latina. Like I'm light skinned. I've been here for generations, and you really have to take. And it's just been like it's a privilege to say that I'm learning, but I just want to be better for my community too as well. So like that's really because I just want to, because that is my family. Whether I know I don't identify or there's certain family, that is my family. So I just have to stand by my community and for my people. Period.
Yeah. I feel like your guys' work with Navaja Press is kind of like not attacking, but kind of addressing the like you said, the one-sided LA, Mexican American identity. When people, in Southern California think of cowboy boots and cowboy hats, they think of paisa.
Yeah.
They think, that's, and over here it's just normal to me. Like you see guys in boots and cowboy hats, and it's like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I love paisa culture. I love it so much. Like, again, I think my family has a very distinct history with El Rancho, and that's not something that I'm looking to go away from either. I mean, I grew up in a city. I can't ride a horse. I can't lasso. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But I do have like a admiration for it, and I think another thing that I think we're gonna try and like explore more in our work coming forward, or even maybe just like my own work coming forward, is this is gonna be so hard to, I guess, say, because this is gonna be like my first time kind of like talking this out. But I think when immigrate to the United States, there will always be a level of nostalgia and romanticism regarding the Mexico that was left behind.
Yeah.
And along with that is what I see, I think, in my most immediate like nuclear family is like the ways to sustain that image, that romanticization, and that nostalgia at home in the United States. Because I mean, I see my father and I see his immense love for a rancho and like living that way and that lifestyle and like wanting to have that here. And I think exploring that is going to be really interesting because how do you sustain a fantasy or an idealized version of something that can't really exist here, but you want it anyway?
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So you have any like projects? I know COVID's keeping everybody kind of
Yeah.
indoors but busy.
We just did some readings for Portland Zine Symposium
Oh, cool.
last week. Yeah, so that was really cool. We read snippets from Las Botas de Mi Padre, but I have a print drop coming on Tuesday, which is our birthday. We
Mhm.
share a birthday.
Oh, that's cute.
Uh, yeah, I know. Yeah, best friends. We share a birthday. So we're having a print drop soon, as well as we're looking to collaborate. Right now, we're gonna work with Hector Viramontes.
Mhm.
He's a painter, illustrator. He's from Anaheim, but moved to Phoenix at a young age. So we're gonna work on some screen prints with him. Excited for that. And I think in terms of like publishing, we're looking for grants to apply to
Mhm.
help produce and get equipment. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, collab with local artists, print drop, and again, I think right now we're focused on prints right now. Yeah, we're focused on a lot of prints right now.
Mhm. Yeah. Any particular prints that you want to kind of talk about?
Yeah. So right now, I think the print that we're gonna like work on in the coming week is it's gonna be a collaboration. Both like a drawing and a screen print.
Mhm.
So it's based on a series of drawings about like I guess a still life, but I guess more of a still life thinking about like opposite thinking about like what's in the home, but like what's in the home but has a lot of meaning in it. And I'm thinking about we all know like those like the screen door with like the little insignias and the patterns and the curls, like it's like
Oh,
a
yeah,
steel
yeah,
door.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna basically be like a screen print of that. And again, so just thinking about like home iconography in like the Mexican American Southwestern home.
Mhm. Mhm. Interesting. Yeah, I guess what scene like have you seen that inspired you in the past, I don't know, 5 years, whenever.
Ooh, I have a really good one. So shout outs to Homie House Press. Maryland, I'm pretty sure. I met them at a Chicago Art Book Fair. It's called Femme Frontera, and it's so Homie House Press. It's run by Adriana Monslave, and she's from Texas. She's based in like I believe Baltimore now, but it's basically kind of like getting a lot of testimonials of femmes around the that live kind of like on these border cities or around the border, and like just kind of have paired with beautiful photos. And I think like when I read that, I felt very kind of like I felt very seen. First of all, felt
Mhm.
very seen. And I was like, wait, I have a story to tell too. And I think book is very effective for that. And I think another one would be La Horchata Zine.
Oh
They're
yeah.
yeah, yep, they're a Central American based zine. And I think that they do a really great job of kind of having this like that art and like poems and writing, and like I think them too like very big, I guess, like starter inspiration for Navaja, and like I guess like my own self-publishing stuff.
Yeah. Any for you, Taylor?
I can't really speak of specific ones. That is my fault. But it's just like it's really kind of new to me, and it's just like. But I've been following. Like I like the Homie House Press. They're really cool. I've been kind of looking into seeing how people run their zines, and kind of that would be different, and how there's different ways that you can do it based on community. I know there's Brown Recluse, which is out in Oakland, that I've kind of seen their different way of like it's a zine and stuff like that. But just kind of like exploring more in the ways that you can produce zines and produce a press.
Yeah, Brown Recluse is really good.
Oh, that's great. Any like if somebody's trying to like get into zines and stuff, well, what advice would you give them?
Okay. Well, Corona. I was
Yeah.
like, that's a thing. My, I think like where my in Phoenix specifically,
Mm-hmm.
there's Palabras bookstore, which is I think the only bilingual bookstore like in the county. But they have a really good zine section. So I think like go to your local like bookstores, like not your Barnes and Noble, not that, but like local bookstores, they'll carry stuff like that. Like there's also what is it, Wasted Ink on 16th Street
Oh yeah.
and Thomas. This is Phoenix specifically, but I think if you're looking, I guess like beyond, I guess like your local area in terms of like getting into zines, I mean, I think a good resource that I mean I learned about it in college, but the Joan Flash artist book collection. It's in Chicago, but you can look at their online catalog and they have a bunch of zines that you can like look through. Another thing, I guess, like book fairs. Again, I don't know when we're gonna be able to have those in person, but I
Mm-hmm.
think like you follow like Printed Matter, which holds a lot of these like national book fairs. Like you'll find these presses and you'll find like people making these zines, and be able to go down that rabbit hole. And I think that's the very key part is like finding a press. And once you find a press you like, they're gonna post presses they like, they're gonna post zines they like, and you're just gonna keep accumulating and like getting more and more and more, and then you'll kind of like have your own collection like at the end of a month or whatever. You're like, hey, I have a zine collection now because I like this person and they told me about this person. And yeah.
Oh, cool. So, when you guys make a zine, what process? Do you have music in the background? Do you have Netflix? What's your like process?
Totally music. That is like the big that is like we work very well with music. I think also given that like we like shows, we love like we love going to live shows. That's like a very big thing that we bonded over, I think, for sure. So we need music for sure. It could be anything, it could be cumbia, it could be punk, it could be anything. But I think like when we would make a print, make a zine, anything, I think it's a lot of like communication for sure. I think it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, you do this, but not in like a freaked out way. I think it's very like kind of like checking in with each other, kind of like, are you good? Okay, I'm good. What do you need? Do you need this? Yeah, no. And then again, we need a lot of snacks and water. Yeah. I think nutrition is very big for us.
Yeah.
Some pepinos con chile.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's really being in a shared space is like definitely better because you're working like right next to each other and being able to bounce ideas off each other. I think that's one of our biggest strong suits. So that we're always like when we work on stuff, we're together, so we can have a shared idea and collective. On it.
We try to like have as most like one-on-one time in terms of like production as possible, just because again I think like in-person communication works the best. Again, a plus is that we're best friends. So we know how we work, like we know each other better than like anyone, so I think like we know how to adapt to each other and our working modes very well.
I think that's good advice if for people, like people, at webinars or asking, oh, how do I collaborate with people?
Yeah, I think, yeah, no, communication. I think that's just the biggest thing. And I know it seems so basic and like so like obvious, but I think it needs to be just said so many times. Like the more clear conversations you have with your collaborator about intention specifically, like
Exactly.
intention, expectations, and kind of like person can do and cannot do, that's just like so important. Because I mean, like with Taylor didn't know how to screen print, and I like stepped in and like showed her how to do that, and like she's still learning. But like I think it's that being, she's like very clear. She's like, I want to help and I want to do this. I don't know how to do it, but can you help me get there? And it's like, yes, I totally 100% can. And it's just, again, like being open and being very clear about what we can and cannot do.
Interesting. That's a good piece of advice. When when you need help, ask.
Yes,
yeah, definitely true. It's cool because we both have a different experience in like art making. Like I've done only really carving printing, and
Oh,
that's
cool,
kind of
cool.
like my realm. Yeah, so like I definitely know how to do like linos and stuff. I wish I could do woodcuts, but it's definitely I want to get into it too. So it's like it's good to have different views of that too, because I was more traditional. I was really big in figurative and life drawing, so it's like taking that in and
yeah, life drawing is I'm not good at that at all. So I feel like her strong suit is like really giving me advice in terms of kind of like organic imagery and kind of like how to like, I think you're really good at composition. So like I think she has that tradition, like that more like traditional viewpoint that I need, because I feel like I'm kind of like all over the place. So she grounds me a lot, I feel like.
Well, that's good. It's like I feel like you guys have a great working relationship in the press.
Thank you. We appreciate that. It's good to hear.
During these difficult times, you really find out who your friends are.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think I'm gonna say this right now. You're keeping me sane right now, man. Like I'm really serious. Like I'm serious. Like it's. I mean, as we all know, it's hard out here. But I think if you have like that one really good like friendship or like relationship that you're like, yeah, I can just kind of like be really clear and like be me and be authentic. Like yeah, it's gonna help. Which I have right here. So
it's good for us. Good to keep it together.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So what's like what's your like kind of short-term goal, and then what's your like future goal for the Navaja Press?
I think short-term goal is to get grants, to get equipment.
Yeah.
That's a little bit that could help us produce at a more like faster rate. I think I think that's really our short-term goal, is to like please get these grants to do that. And I think also to kind of like make this new set of like prints to expose out into the world, and collaborate with Hector and to kind of like get that out in the world. I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. I'm hoping for November, to when the weather's cooler. I mean, we'll see with COVID, but I'm trying to kind of like do a pop-up gallery in my backyard.
That's
We'll
pretty
see.
cool.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes, right? But yeah, no, I think once the cooler weather comes in, I'm crossing fingers and toes that COVID will be under control. But yeah, no, I think having like a backyard pop-up is like kind of like in its baby steps of formation for like goals right now. I think like having that backyard pop-up is like very in tune with kind of like the press's like overall message of like, yeah, it's in my backyard, it's at my home, this is my landscape, and I'm gonna pop up the show. But yeah, that's like right now our handful of things that we're doing.
Yeah, that's very Mexican American, like the backyard parties.
I didn't even think. You're right. You're right. think on that a little bit more. We might even have some aguas frescas. Who knows?
Yeah, it's just like very Mexican American. Like the backyard, that's like the epic center, like for the quinces and the parties and the
Yeah,
baptisms and all that.
yeah, yeah. That's gonna be like the jumping. It's gonna be the inspiration jumping point
Yeah.
for this pop up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think.
I feel like there's something. Not too sure,
All
but
right. So, music wise, so what are your like top 5 like jams
oh
right
man,
now?
there's so much.
Or
Okay.
your favorite music.
Yeah. Okay. Right now, I've been listening to El Muchacho. It was like a one-hit wonder in Mexico.
Can you
But
repeat that again?
so El Muchacho de los Ojos Tristes by Jeanette.
Oh yeah,
It's
Jeanette.
like
Yeah.
so I listen to that a lot. But I think shout outs to LA Interwave. I don't know if anyone knows Interwave, but they're like this 5-piece Latinx alternative band from LA. I one of my favorite artists. Trying to think who else. But I mean indie garage rock. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for it. I really, really am. I can't help it. What else? No, yeah, but I'm trying to think. Take it away. I'll think of something else. I'll
Yeah,
think of
Taylor.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's been a big mix. Been listening to a lot of like I listened to the Downtown Boys a lot recently.
Oh,
It's a
cool.
big
Yeah.
mix. Yes, them. I love them. But then I'm getting into like my like jazz kind of stuff recently. Always been a big fan of Nina Simone. So like it's just like that's my music taste. I like a lot of big mixes. But so far that's like what I've been listening to mostly.
Oh, I've been listening to a lot of Turnstile, hardcore from the East Coast.
Oh,
Yeah,
Turnstile.
Turnstile. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like for right now, I've been switching from indie garage rock to classic like Latino like folk music and 2007 bangers, 2007 club bangers.
Yeah.
Like we were listening to it. We listened to Akon. We listened to Lloyd. We were listening to like anything that was hot in like 2008. So that I think that encapsulates what I've been listening to.
Okay.
A bit
Yeah.
of throwbacks. And
Oh, can you repeat that again? So, what are throwbacks? Like, what songs?
like
Oh well, I feel like our throwbacks are different than who's already.
yeah.
But like when I think throwbacks, I'm thinking about like 50 Cent in the club. I'm thinking about like Baby Bash. So that's like my throwbacks.
I absolutely would agree. I might be a little bit more on like if I go to throwbacks, I listen more R&B like kind of stuff.
Yeah, Aaliyah. Shout out to Aaliyah. Yeah, those are our throwbacks. But I feel like that's our friendship for sure. Like we will just like drive at night to R&B just to do it. Or just like, all right, let's take a ride to Mary J. Blige real quick.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. I think we love it. So, but yeah, it's very, which I think is funny because I think like being like a first generation Mexican American, it's like I love my rancheras, I love my corridos, but at the same time, I love punk music, I love indie music, and then growing up, I love club bangers. Like I love Akon, I love Baby Bash. I love all these T-Pain. Shout out to T-Pain. So it's like I think that's like really, really funny in terms of I think of like my experience growing up is like these three drastic different like tastes kind of like forming into this big playlist in my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some good advice you just gave about friends driving around listening to R&B.
Yes, I think everyone should do that.
Yeah, that's how you keep friendships alive.
Yep. Totally. And obviously, hopefully, when you can go back to a live show again, go to a live show with your friend.
Yeah.
It's so worth it.
Yeah. So, what was the best live show you've been?
Oh man, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Tropicalia was really good.
Oh, yeah, that was a great time. It
Well,
was awesome.
Yeah. We
Iconic.
went to Tropicalia last November,
Oh,
which
okay.
is a festival
Yeah.
in LA. And it was our first festival. Yeah, we've never been to a festival, and I think like we never like were interested in festivals because we love small shows, we love private venues, but I think Tropicalia was the only lineup that were like, okay, yeah, we'll go to a festival for that.
So who was the lineup on that one?
Oh, who wasn't on the lineup? So it was 2 days. It was Saturday and Sunday, and we called Saturday Paisa Day, and then we called Sunday Alternative Day. And like, cause so on Saturday we had Los Tigres del Norte, Paquita del Barrio, Los Ángeles Negros. Oh, sí, sí. Natalia Lafourcade was there. So we were so into that day. Caifanes, Hombres G. To finally, I think, to see and like sing like Devuélveme a mi chica like live, like whoa, oof, that did something for me and like my internal soul. And then the next day we saw Innerwave, the Red Pears. We were excited. Surfers. Men I Trust. We saw a lot of people on Sunday, so it was real personalities like married, had a baby, and this is the baby's festival. So that was just fun because we'd never been to a festival. We had never done that before, and it was cool that it was like our first time, both of us. And it was cool because I mean I was in Chicago at the time, and I flew out from Chicago. You came from Phoenix, so it was like a cool like, oh, we've never done this before, and it's like all of these bands that we love. So it was like a great time.
That's pretty cool. Was there any moshing?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. I mean, I think Taylor's a little like more reserved.
I'll be back here. Y'all see me? I'm here.
Yeah,
but I'm here.
No, I think we were with our other best friend who also helps out with the press, Lorena Reyes, and I think we were watching this band, and I think like in the first 5 seconds, I was like, okay, things are about to go down. So I turned around and I was like, run. I said, you're not prepared, run. I said, run. And they did. They backed up, and I again, since I think I was more like I moshed when I was younger. I was comfortable with it. I was like, all right, this is it. This is what it is. And yeah, there was a lot of mushing. Actually, for anyone who knows, Inspector on Saturday. No, dude, talk about it.
And that's Mexican ska.
Oh yeah. So Inspector, who is a Mexican ska band, ska in Spanish. Biggest circle pit I've ever seen in my life. Biggest circle pit I've ever seen in my life. And it was beautiful because I think the punk and DIY hardcore scene is so being able to see like a mass group of brown bodies like doing a circle pit and moshing was like, it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful. It was nice to see. It was like, wow, my people. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Did it go in Long Beach or?
They moved from Long Beach, so it was supposed to be in Pico Rivera because they moved it from Long Beach to Pico Rivera. But then, literally a week before, they moved it to Pomona, the Pomona Rivera.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
This past time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, we were excited for Long Beach, but it just didn't. We were excited. We're like, oh, the beach. No.
All right, so I guess final question will be, so what any Netflix shows or movies that you're kind of watching now?
What? Okay. I mean, I've rewatched this too many times, but Pose. Everyone watch Pose.
Oh yeah, Pose. Yeah, it's a must watch.
The world.
It's just so good.
It's so.
I've been fortunate enough. My brother has AT&T, so he gave me his HBO Max subscription. So I watched May I Destroy You. And I've listened to so many podcasts on that. I really hope, like, Michaela Cole, like, that show is so...
Sorry, which show was it?
Yeah, and if you don't have HBO Max, you can watch Michaela Coel's show on Netflix, which is called Chewing Gum, which is also really good, really wacky, but, like, super good. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I mean, not Netflix, Hulu, Rami. We just binged Rami, like, together, like, maybe a month ago. Rami, it's, about like being a Muslim American, like Egyptian American Muslim in the United States, which is like, again, cool to parallel. I think that really got us, like, paralleling that to our experience as Mexican Americans. So Rami on Hulu, fantastic. Our favorite show is Parks and Rec. We're gonna say that right now. Our favorite show is Parks and Rec. We rewatch episodes like drinking water.
Yeah.
Really, like I just had her watch. I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender as a kid, and I'm forcing her and my other best friend to watch it.
That's a
You
good series.
finished it.
That's a really good series.
That was great. I was mad at myself as a kid. I only saw a little bit, but like now it's like, wow.
I told him, I was like, oh my god, I haven't seen this since I was a kid.
So good.
And I told him, you guys have to watch it. If you don't watch this, like, I don't even know, but you have to watch it. Great series, though.
All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna end the podcast here. You know, it's a good way to end it. Is there anything else you wanna do? Any shout outs?
Thanks for listening. I think we were really appreciative. I think for the community that we've been able to build in like this really last like 2 months that we've a lot of people really appreciate it. And as always, for me, shout outs to 602, shout outs Phoenix, shout outs McDowell Road, shout outs Chihuahua, shout outs Ciudad Juarez, shout outs Zacatecas, shout out San Jose de Ganetes. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this is all going to turn out. You know, I'm so ready to produce and do work that I feel is really like meaningful. And I'm really excited to work with Meli and Lorena to see where we can grow together and what we can do for our community, right? Because that's truly kind of at the heart of a lot of our work and what we want to do. So.
Yep. Yeah, shout outs Lorena Reyes. She cannot be here today, but she's our other like best friend who like helps with production and helps like, you know, like work out. We love you. We've also been best friends with her since high school. Love you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
We
so
really
much.
appreciate it.